Welcome to the Permian Strategic Partnership Podcast. I'm your host, Krista Escamilla. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new year at the Permian Strategic Partnership Podcast. So first of all, Happy New Year to you, and thank you for spending some time with us. We have some very special guests to get this year started, and we are so grateful that you're here to share some time with us. We will begin with who is sitting with me here in studio. We have Morgan Hebert. She is the Director of Operations for Permian Strategic Partnership. And a favorite title that we all like to go by as us moms, she is a mom. And
thank you, Krista.
And mom and wife. So thank you, Morgan, for being with us today. We also have a state representative from New Mexico, Cathrynn Brown, and also a mom of 5. And she is with us today to share all the amazing things happening in New Mexico. Representative Brown, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me in. I'm going to enjoy this, I think, talking with other moms.
Yes, it's going to be a great conversation, and we are looking forward to it. So thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you also for being such a strong ally and partner of PSP. We are grateful to have you at the Roundhouse representing our communities in southeastern New Mexico. So thank you. You are District 55?
That is correct.
That is correct. Fantastic. So let's start off with this great conversation with just talking a little bit about the new year and what you expect you're forecasting for the session for 2025.
Well, that's a good place to start. I am entering my 8th term now in the New Mexico House of Representatives, and my District 55 includes portions of Eddy and Lee counties, and it's one of the most prolific oil and gas state house districts in the country, if not the top at this point. So we're starting off next week, gaveling in on Tuesday, the 21st of January. And I expect it to be like any other 60-day session. It will be very, very busy. We will hit the ground running, and we will probably have around 1,000 to 1,500 pieces of legislation that will be at least introduced, or people will hope will be considered. And I'm optimistic that we'll do a very good job. We do, as you know, we sometimes have opposition to the oil and gas industry, and every year that happens, and we do our very best to keep the industry moving forward. And so we're going to have a few fights probably over some of that legislation, but on the whole, I expect to see some good public safety legislation coming in. I think the Los Angeles wildfires have reminded everybody who serves in public office that public safety is job one, and we need to do everything we can to make the lives of New Mexicans safe. So expect some things there as well. Personally, I'm going to be carrying at least 7 bills, and always trying to find money for transportation, for roads. And that is something I've done from the very start of my time in the legislature. And I will be pushing hard for additional funding for roads. It's a safety issue, as you know, especially here in the Permian Basin. And I'm going to have a few other pieces of legislation. If you want to know more, we'll get into it. Some of them are in drafting right now, and I'll be, wanting more to talk about them once they're ready for public dissemination.
Representative Brown, I'm glad that you brought up your passion for road safety. We want to take the opportunity to thank you for always being the loudest and proudest champion for Permian Basin roads across southeastern New Mexico. So thank you for your tireless efforts in that space. It really is making a difference.
And so is the Permian Strategic Partnership. You have a road safety pillar to what you do. So I want to thank you as well for everything you're doing. We have to keep the drumbeat going. We've got to always remind people of the importance of being safe on the road, and try to keep our infrastructure as good as we can get it. And so we all keep at it.
Well, thank you for that. And Representative Brown, you mentioned if we wanted to get into some of the other issues, of course, as you know, energy is at the forefront. Are there any key priorities, or maybe that you're entering into, that you think we should all know about, that are important not only to you, but to your constituents?
Well, one of them would be in the healthcare category, and that is, I don't know if you know this or many people do, but anybody of any age can go into a convenience store that sells synthetic drugs. There is nothing preventing, say, a 6-year-old from going in where these things are sold. You've heard of Kratom. You've probably seen signs for that. There are a whole bunch of other things that are out there. And what I really want to do is make sure that children, especially, are not allowed to get a hold of these substances. They are very addictive. And so next time you're out and about, watch for those signs. Kratom, Kratom is one, but there are many others as well. And so this is something that I think a lot of people in law enforcement might have an inkling about, but we have to do something to keep our children safe. And we know here in our area that before the start of the school year, teachers and principals and so forth were told that some of your students are showing up with these substances in their body, and it may lead to and probably will lead to more seizures for the children at school. So it's a really big issue. And my goal is to bring some regulation around this. And again, it's not just the little ones. Big ones, big people shouldn't be using this stuff, in my opinion, either. But it is a huge issue.
Wow. And as a mom, and I'm sure we can all agree, that is something that definitely needs to be addressed. And so I'm so glad that you're addressing that and bringing it to our attention, because I feel like I'm pretty caught up in the news department just as I read a lot and follow, but I have really not heard anything about that. And so I'm grateful that you shared that with us today, and good luck with getting that changed, because that definitely is something that needs to be addressed. No 6-year-old should be buying drugs.
Yeah. Exactly right. And also on the healthcare front, I may not be carrying other legislation necessarily, but I will probably be co-sponsoring at least. We have a doctor shortage, and you're quite aware of that. And I know you're doing things at the PSP to address that, but we have to grow more doctors, and it takes a lot of time for a doctor to get up to quals. So New Mexico has a really bad problem. I've just seen recently that as far as nursing goes, we're also in a shortage, but we are doing a little bit better there than some other states. And but we still have to address that as well. And we have a nursing school here in Carlsbad at Southeast New Mexico College. Formerly, that was known as a branch of New Mexico State University, but it went independent not too long ago and has a fantastic nursing program. The need we have there, though, is for more nursing instructors. And so we have to find ways to address that as well.
Absolutely. As far as the energy sector goes, I'd love to find out how you feel your colleagues in the Roundhouse understand the importance of the energy industry in your state. Do you get pushback? Do you get a lot of acceptance and their open ears? What is your experience?
My experience is that New Mexico state legislators are really good at spending money that comes from the oil and gas industry, the revenue, the royalties, all those things. It's been massive, actually. We had a surplus. Now, our state budget is right around or just above $10 billion. And if you're from Texas, side of the Permian, that may not sound like a lot of money, but it's grown significantly in the years I've been in the legislature. So the last several years, we've had between $2 and $3.5 billion of extra revenue. And it's a blessing to have it, but I would like to see a greater acknowledgement of where that money comes from. Again, it's one thing to spend it, but let's say thank you to all the oil and gas companies, all the staff, the workers who produce the energy that we all need. And we know that there's even greater demand for energy in our future. So oil and gas to me is the foundation, and we will always need hydrocarbons. There's no way we can live in modern society without that source of energy. So I wish more people would be less inclined to just try to attack it. And sometimes we see bills for increased regulation of the industry. And I'm for sensible regulation. And sometimes bills are proposed that would perhaps involve a change, but it would be a minuscule improvement at a great cost. And so we want to keep our oil and gas workers active and producing the energy that everyone needs. And, I'm all for solar and wind in the right places, in the right context, but those two will never be baseload power. So we need this industry to thrive. And we're going to see some extra revenue this year once again because of that industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Representative Brown, do you think that some of your colleagues in Santa Fe fully understand the energy industry's impact in the state's education department, or do we still have some room for some improvements there?
Well, we do need to continue educating our members. We will have new people joining us, and they're probably, if you're from Eddy or Lee counties in southeast New Mexico, from Chaves County, from Roosevelt County, where oil and gas activity takes place, those legislators are quite aware of that oil and gas are so vital. The new members need to be hearing this, and I'm fortunate to serve on the Appropriations and Finance Committee in the House, and we build the budget for the coming fiscal year. And I know I take lots of opportunities to point out that so much of this wherewithal that we have to run the state is due to oil and natural gas production. So, we say it a lot. I think it doesn't always get remembered by some of our members. And, it is the golden goose and for New Mexico, and we don't want to kill that goose. So again, sensible regulations where they are needed, but not tightening the noose and trying to basically abolish the industry. And there are some people, that's their goal. And it's stop oil and gas. And it would be so detrimental if they got away with that. So yeah, lots of people employed in the industry. So it's really good jobs as well. And that's what we want for all of our districts, I think, is good jobs.
Absolutely. And thank you for being a cheerleader for energy in your area. We appreciate that. Keep on cheering. They'll listen. They'll listen.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about environmental department under Trump. That is something that, will you see big changes? What do you anticipate, and what are you hoping for?
Well, I'm hoping for everything that President-elect Trump is talking about, what he's trying to promote. We hear the term energy independence for the United States, and I think the better term is probably independence is a good thing, but more resilience, where we will have the energy we need when we need it. And we're talking, so much of hearing about AI and data centers, and they are highly intensive in terms of the use of energy. So if people want to step into the future with AI and those types of new platforms, then we're going to have the energy to do it. And otherwise, I don't see us moving forward there. And so electrical vehicles, that's another thing. I think the president-elect has said that he's going to abolish the mandate there. I agree with that. I believe in freedom, and people want to buy an electric vehicle. That's great. They can do that. But to force that on people who don't want one or know that having one would be impractical for them, that doesn't make any sense. So let's bring freedom back and let people make those decisions individually.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
Let's
talk a little bit. We mentioned education a little bit earlier. How can partnerships between the energy industry and local educational institutions help bridge the skills gap?
Well, it's starting to really come to the fore now. When I started in the legislature a long time ago, I was a big advocate of career technical education, and it's getting job skills into the lives of our young people. It was not a very popular idea back then, but persistence is winning the day. And I would have to credit other women legislators of both parties being some of the greatest advocates for CTE or career tech. We see our children, we want them to have all the options that they can have in life, and it never hurts to have a marketable skill, whether it's welding or construction or, culinary arts, whatever it might be. So the Career Tech school in Hobbs at the high school there, it's called CTech, is for me the model for the state. And there is where a partnership was formed. I believe PSP had a hand in this.
We did. We're very, very, very proud of our partnership with CTech.
Yes. Yes, and I have been there on several occasions, and I'm so impressed when I talk to the students, because that's what matters, is what do the students think? And they are so excited, and they're showing up for school because all of a sudden it has real world relevance for them, and they know they can make a living with the certificates that they'll have in hand. So seeing more of that, fought the battle a couple years ago when we got into session, and the people who kind of do the draft budget really had very little for career tech statewide, and it was a pittance. And so I kept saying we've got to improve that. We got it up to 40 million, but that again would have to be spent statewide, so it wouldn't be a lot per district, per school district. But we just kept pushing, and finally it got into the budget, and then the next year another 40 million, and it could really be a lot more than that, I think. So the collaboration is what made CTech possible, because I think it's about a $50 million facility. Anybody who hasn't seen it yet really needs to go and just enjoy seeing the students in action there. So that's one thing that I think PSP has been absolutely a major factor in. And Carlsbad Municipal Schools, I live in Carlsbad, has started career academies now. And so healthcare is one, energy is another, there are a couple others. So it's happening, and we need to fully fund the schools all across the state to acquire the equipment, the space, the instructors to get our students into this. And we know by the data that students who are in career tech classes are graduating at higher numbers. And it's logical, I think, that they would be doing that. So it's very, very good. And just any kind of workforce development we can do is important. Yeah, and I'll just say this, my mother was born and raised in Europe and had a classical education there. But when she came to the United States in the 1950s, she could see the American school system. And her comment to me when I was a little girl is, we've got to not require people to go to college, because that's not for everyone. Let's make sure we have people learning skills. And she was a nurse, and so she understood that. But she was right. And when we got into the everyone go to college push, I think we did a disservice to our students, but we're correcting it now. And I'm so happy about that.
And I know you see that as a mom of five. They're all so individual, and they all have their own path and their own, and you just need to introduce it to them. You never know what's going to spark that fire and right. and send them down their path. And so I love that. And I love also the collaboration. Is there any, I know you've been in office since 2011. Have you seen any differences with collaboration in the last few years? It seems like it's a key word, and I'm really starting to see more groups collaborate, and especially with what PSP is doing. Do you really see the efforts of that? Do you see the fruits of those efforts that have changed since maybe 2011 when it wasn't as popular?
It's a bonanza right now. I met Tracy Bentley the first day I think she started on the job with PSP. She was in Carlsbad. We and a group of people had a small lunch together, and she had just flown in or something and just getting started. And I believe that was about 5 years ago, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, correct.
And I look at where things were then and where they are now, and it's a dramatic change. I just marvel at what you all are doing. And I remember meeting with Tracy, you hear there's going to be this group get together and provide money for things. And I thought, we really need a bridge in Eddy County. And I thought, maybe I should ask for bridge money. And then it dawned on me that with the money that you had to start with, you could build one bridge, and that's it. But you have been very wise about your approach, and you have become the organization that provides catalyst, money, support, enthusiasm for doing a whole bunch of things. Again, you're in healthcare education. I think you're doing some things in housing, perhaps, road safety, all those things. You chose very well. Your member companies chose very well what to focus on, and look at the results that we're seeing after only 5 years. So yes, it's changed dramatically. Again, you're a factor not just in New Mexico, but also Texas. So, I mean, it's just been amazing.
Thank you, Representative Brown.
Yeah, I honestly think you're the model for the nation on how to do something right. And again, I think it was wisdom on your part. So thank you.
You know, us and our 28 member companies are really proud to have been able to commit now 184 million of our own dollars. But what I think is even more impressive, and a model, like you said, for other regions across our country, is we've been able to leverage that to about 1.8 billion in partnerships, all going to our 22 counties right here in the Permian. So we're really proud of what we've been able to accomplish so far. And we know that it's just the beginning.
That's right. And I want to share with you a phrase I learned many, many years ago when I was a teenager. And it's this, and it's so true, and it's exemplified by what you've done. And that phrase is this: people tend to support what they help create. People tend to support what they help create. So when there's a collaboration and everybody's contributing something, that's where support gets strong. And and I'm glad to hear you say you're going to keep doing what you're doing, because it's a game changer, especially for the Permian. Yeah,
I love that. And really, I have been able to witness, as you have too, what has happened in the last 5 years. And quick story, I met Tracy probably her first week here, and I asked her, what do you love so far? She said, the people. So she loved meeting you that first week and that first day. And I said, well, you've hit the nail on the head, because it's the people of our area that make this so great. And then just the collaborations that have come out of it have been fun to watch. So thank you for your partnership as well. Is there anything, Representative Brown, that we haven't talked about today that you think is really important in your area with the partnership with PSP, with anything that you want to get off your chest that you would love to share with our listeners and viewers today?
I can only pick one thing. Is that right?
Oh, you can pick as you want, as long as your time permits.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate what you're doing with the Texas Tech University, trying to get physicians to consider locating in rural areas of the state, especially this area. I think that has been a tremendous program so far. My husband, I do have a daughter who's a physician, and I was telling her about what you're doing, and she thought it was a brilliant idea and so needed. And another thing that I really appreciate about you is the behavioral health work that you're doing to spearhead, help companies grow and spearhead. And so we have what's called the Permian Basin Counseling Center. We have one in Carlsbad and one just up the highway in Artesia. And I was at both ribbon cuttings. And I cannot tell you how thankful I am that this service is now available in these local communities. It's absolutely vital that this be there. And it's the people who are working with the Permian Basin Counseling Center are just amazing. And I've just never met a more compassionate group of people who are very good at what they do. So thank you. I'm not sure if you're doing that in other areas of the Permian, but certainly very successful here.
And we have clinic hours, like you said, in Carlsbad, Hobbs, Artesia, and Jow in southeastern New Mexico.
Yes.
And the next time you fly in and you're driving on 191, you can see the new behavioral health hospital that is being built. It's amazing, right there behind the Wagner Noel. So we invite you to go take a look, do a little curve in there and see. But that's also PSP, I know, has been instrumental with that. Morgan, is there anything that you would like to address and just kind of, as we close out, say about your excitement with what you've seen with PSP and the collaborations in New Mexico?
Yeah, I just think that this is the something that we talk about all the time is this is the right time with the right people in the right places to really make transformational change for our communities in southeastern New Mexico. And I think it's all of our charge that we're no longer going to let opportunities be overlooked or say that we can't do that. We're too rural. We're too isolated. We're really redefining what's possible in our rural communities.
I think that's exactly right. And I just absolutely love literacy for children and for adults. And that's something that's been near and dear to my heart. As a legislator, and I don't sit on an education committee, but I thought, what can I do to make things better for our students and make us a more successful state? And I realized there are some little things I can do that aren't necessarily legislation. And one of them was I established an Eddy County affiliate of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And that's a program that provides a free, beautiful children's book through the mail to preschoolers. So any child under the age of 5 up to their 5th birthday can receive a book. And for some families, that may be the one exposure that their little ones have to books. And of course, we want everyone to be a good reader. So what you're doing, anything you're doing for literacy, and then with the adult segment of the population, I've been serving for many years on the Carlsbad Literacy Program, and we help people, adults, with reading skills and things like that. It's foundational. It's where we have to begin. And so I thank you for all that you're doing to help not only our teachers be better teachers, but just doing everything we can to give our children a really good start in life. So appreciate your support.
Imagine anytime you receive something in the mail, or or someone has given you a gift at a small age, the impact that could make. I can imagine the ripple effect that has. So that is fantastic.
So if I can make a little plug, a parent,
Yes,
or whoever the custodial parent is, wants to enroll a child, that person just needs to Google Imagination Library. It takes to the national website, and the person puts in the zip code of where the child lives. And then the computer just kind of walks you through a very simple enrollment process. It comes to me as the coordinator for Eddy County, and I approve all of those requests to join the program. We're now reaching more than 1,500 preschoolers in Eddy County with a book every month. And if a child is enrolled at birth, that child will have a home library of 60 books by the time he or she enters kindergarten. So it's a program I dearly love. I appreciate Dolly Parton for starting it. It's a fantastic opportunity for families. So anything you can do to get the word out, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And who doesn't love Dolly, right? I mean, look at what she's doing. That is amazing. I just love her even more now. We have listeners and viewers from all over the world. Is there any little plug you'd love to give for your region, like a fun fact about Carlsbad or the area that we could share with everyone to invite them to come see you?
Oh boy. Well, I love this community. My husband and I have been here for more than 40 years now. We came down from the Pacific Northwest. We've stayed because we love the people, and this area has so much to offer. If I could say one thing as a mom, it would be, please have your children don't give them a cell phone too early in life. We want them reading books. We want them not in front of a electronic device. It's so much better for families when people interact face to face and not let a device get in the way. And, I've talked to a lot of parents and they agree with me about that. So if we could do one thing to improve the lives of our children, it's watch those electronics and don't let them become a means for messages that aren't very healthy for children. So is that okay if
I love that. That is great. It might be too late for me because mine are older, but Morgan is listening, and all of our listeners out there. Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. Keep those electronics out of them at a young age. It truly is one of those things that I don't think as a parent I ever saw coming, how it would make a difference and impact our lives and our children's lives. And so I love that you give that plug. So thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Is there anything else, Morgan, that you would like to ask?
No, thank you so much, Representative Brown, for joining us today. And thank you for being the best advocate for our Permian Basin communities. And we wish you nothing but success as legislative session's right around the corner.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you to the Permian Strategic Partnership. You guys are amazing. Really appreciate you.
Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate you. We encourage all of you that have listened today to please share this, pass this on with someone that lives in New Mexico or is affected by the legislation. And we wish you, Representative Brown, the best with that budget. Since you're on that committee, we hope that all your dream lists come true and you get all of your legislation passed that you're hoping for. And we appreciate your time and your collaboration with PSP. Thank you all for listening today. And remember, the future lies in the Permian, and we are all in this together. So let's keep doing the good work, and let's keep sharing the good news of what energy is doing for West Texas and how we're all helping each other to live our best lives. Morgan, thank you so much. That was fun.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you and everything you do with PSP. She's a busy lady, and so I'm glad we got to have her here on the show today, as well as Representative Brown. And we thank all of you for your time. You make it a great day, and we'll see you next time on the Permian Strategic Partnership Podcast. Thank you for listening to the Permian Strategic Partnership Podcast. For more information, go to permianpartnership.org.